Hey, what's up, everybody? Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Depending on where you are across the world, you guys. Happy Sunday to everybody, or maybe it's Monday for some, right? I hope you guys had a good weekend. Back to regularly scheduled programming, right? We're back to regularly scheduled programming. Back to pushing out this content, baby. Okay. And today is Khalil Wheeler Day. 25-year-old serial killer. 25-year-old serial killer. And, while I talk about him, I just want to bring up a reminder to people, right? There is still a pretty well-known serial murder case that is still unsolved, even now. The Gilgo Beach murders, New Jersey. Remember all of the dead bodies of the women and even of some children as well. Believes, some of the women were actually pregnant, okay, when they were murdered. But in the last 20 years, somebody has been dumping bodies in New Jersey at Gilgo Beach. And it's very reminiscent of the Green River serial killer. If you actually do some research into the Green River serial killer, one of the things that he was pretty well known for with his criminal activity was dumping the bodies, okay, in like a pod. I hate to say it like that, but almost like a pod, right? He would pick an area and he would dump the bodies in this particular area and basically would keep using that area until there was no more room left. On top of that, he's also well known for revisiting the dead bodies of his victims months after he killed them. We're talking having sexual relations as well. Yes, this was talked about in this man's trial, the Green River serial killer's trial. Because, psychologists really wanted to understand that. Really wanted to understand. That man has been studied and studied and studied. But the way that these bodies have been dumped at Gilgo Beach, it's very reminiscent of the way the Green River serial killer used to dump his bodies. So, yeah, there's no proof that that's what's happening with the Gilgo Beach murders. We don't know if somebody's coming back and revisiting those victims after death, but it's possible. It's very, very possible. So we'll see. Hopefully that case can be cracked soon. Again, somebody's suspected of dumping bodies for up to 20 years at Gilgo Beach. So, of course, I can't help but to think about that case when I'm looking at this case with Khalil Wheeler, okay, 25 years old. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Hey, what's up, Dolly? Hey, Gloria. Hip Hop Inquirer. Good to see you. Hip Hop Inquirer, good people. Definitely go check out Mr. Byron's YouTube channel. You know, I'm over there all the time. So thank you very much, Mr. Byron. Hope you're well. Hope you had a fantastic weekend. All right. So this man, Khalil Wheeler, okay, he's been convicted now of the murder of 3 individuals, okay? Three women, 3 young women. He was also convicted of attempted murder of an additional woman who survived, Tiffany Taylor, okay? He has now been charged in another murder that happened back in 2016 of a teenager. He was meeting these women on, using a variety of dating apps. And he was, meeting these women and then attacking, raping them, killing them. Okay. And I can't, like I was saying, it's kind of hard. You see a serial killer in New Jersey, Essex. I mean, we've got this going on, but, he would have been 15, 20 years ago, only 5. So I would think that the person who has killed those women in Gilgo Beach is most likely older than 25, right? Most likely older. But don't forget, this case is still unsolved. Okay, we if you have any tips or any information leading to some kind of tip about all of the bodies that have been located at Gilgo Beach, please call your local police department. Now, Tiffany Taylor, well, even before I get to that, let's talk a little bit more in depth here about Khalil. Okay. Let's talk a little bit more in depth about him. You would look at him and you would never think that, right? That he's a serial killer. You would never think that. He went on a killing spree back in 2016. He literally dropped, they are now saying, 4 bodies in that summer. It's like he went on a spree. And a killer like that, like Khalil Wheeler-Weaver, somebody who goes on a spree like that. I mean, you may have experienced something that may have happened in your city over the years. We recently actually had somebody in the Dallas-Fort Worth area that was killing transgender women. And we're talking about spree. Every other day, a body was dropping. And what was crazy is this person was going to the same place to meet his victims every single time. It's crazy how serial killers can operate right under your nose. Now, Tiffany Taylor's cell phone is probably what saved her life. Now, she testified at the trial of Khalil Wheeler-Weaver. She's the only person that is known to have survived this serial killer. The only person. And again, he's been charged with the murder of another teenager that happened back during his serial killing spree back in 2016. Now, serial killer, mass killer, there is a difference, although both of the terms involve multiple victims. Serial killer is more of somebody who kills one, maybe even more people, but they stretch it out over a period of time. A mass murderer or mass killer is someone who kills a lot of people at a single point in time, right? 2 or more, right? Now, he was so nervous about Tiffany Taylor's cell phone being left in a hotel room that he forced her back to this hotel room to get this phone. And that's how she actually survived this incident. Check it.
This is in the matter of State versus Khalil. Number 17-2-547. As to count 1, charging the defendant with the murder of Robin West, what is your verdict?
Guilty. 3 women murdered. A 4th woman attacked and nearly killed. The spree of violence lasted just 84 days, in the summer and fall of 2016.
Charging the defendant with the murder of Sarah Butler, what is your verdict?
Guilty. He created a digital trail that led police right to his bedroom, leading to his conviction as a serial killer. I'm Christopher Mogg with NorthJersey.com and the USA Today Network. Khalil Wheeler-Weaver was just 20 years old when he was arrested in December 2016. 3 years later, he was convicted of 11 felonies, including 3 counts of murder. All his attacks happened in the area behind me, within view of the Empire State Building. Cell phone data played a major role in this case. Google searches, text messages, and cell tower pings provided police with a history of Wheeler-Weaver's actions and his locations. Tiffany Taylor was the woman who got away. She was 34 when she met Wheeler-Weaver. She was pregnant, and she was homeless. They met at a motel in Elizabeth, New Jersey, an industrial city known for its famous oil refinery. Her street savvy, her will to survive, and her gripping testimony about the attack sealed Wheeler-Weaver's conviction.
That's why I tried so hard, because I kept thinking to myself, I knew I had to get away. I wasn't planning on dying that day. My every thought was to get away. My every thought. Or kill both of us. But it wasn't him getting away. No. He was a friend of my best friend, and she introduced me to him. I didn't know who it was. I just knew there was a guy out there that knew everything about me, that had a crush on me, that would call me every 2 to 3 days. And he was trying to get me to trust him to meet up. We were staying at the Ritz and other hotels too, but that night, my friend had got a room actually at the Ritz, and I was over there hanging out with him. My friend wanted me to go grab something for him and bring it back. I have a car. I was getting calls all day from this guy. He asks me to meet him kind of like on a highway, to pick him up right there. So I'm like, okay. I go to pick him up. He had on a ski mask and gloves. He kept saying that he was cold. I guess that was his excuse for having a ski mask and gloves on, to not make it look not normal. Drove out. He said he had to use the bathroom to pull over. So I made a right down one of those other blocks and pulled over. That was the last thing I remember. Then I woke up. I woke up in the back seat, and I was being choked out and raped from behind. That's how I woke up. And then he strangled me more when I woke up, and I passed out. And this happened repeatedly about 3 times. And then that's when he took the handcuffs and put the handcuffs on me and started to duct tape me. He kept trying to make me believe that if I just listen to everything he'd say, that he would let me go. But he revealed himself to me. Like, I knew that he was going to kill me now. So my every thought was plan A, plan B, plan C, and so on to get away. I was pregnant. After a while, the duct tape from me crying and sweating from being scared started lifting up, like right here around my mouth, because he had it kind of wrapped like all around like this, up to my nose. And once it started lifting up and I was able to talk a little so he could understand me.
Essex County Assistant Prosecutor Adam Wells led the criminal case against Wheeler-Weaver.
Still enough. Here we've got S58. These are no joke real handcuffs. These are the handcuffs that were on Miss Taylor's arm when the police arrived.
I broke out of one handcuff because of the way I'm kind of double jointed and flexible, so I was able to slip out of one while we were driving. But I told him that if he lets me go back to the room, I could retrieve my phone that I had left. And the phone had like all of our text messages and things going back and forth on it. So he really wanted that phone back. So, and I added on that I would like have the guy that was in the room. I told him it was a really old guy in the room that was waiting. That was his car we was in. I told him I could convince him to give him some money if he let me go or let us go. And he agreed to it.
As she come out, the defendant leads in, lifts her up, and she's facing towards the car. Again, corroborating the handcuffs. You can also see here and there that the sleeves of her jacket are flopping because they've been placed over to conceal the handcuffs.
He thought that I was gonna go back. He would take the duct tape off of me. I would go upstairs, go into the room, grab the phone really quick, and then come out with the old man. I took the handcuff off, and I was just telling, the guy that was in the room with me what happened. And he was still banging on the door, so I went to the window and I opened the blind, and I showed him that I was out of one cuff. And then that's when he ran off. And my friend called the police. I'm thinking of a way to get away at that point, because obviously he had some plans for me. If he need handcuffs and duct tape, and he had already raped me and he still didn't let me go. So that meant that was just the beginning. They didn't believe me. Elizabeth, New Jersey Police Department. They thought I was lying.
What injuries do you what injuries do you have?
Look at my face and the duct tape.
For the what?
For the duct tape, my face.
When did he duct tape you?
Huh?
In the car?
In the car.
So you let him duct tape you, or what happened? I just need to know.
He put the handcuffs on me first. He choked me out, and after he choked me one hand.
What was all happened in the car?
Yeah.
Where were you parked at this time? The gas station over there?
No, it was by the gas station. No.
It was by the gas station? It was in his car.
It was in his car.
So he took the duct tape with him?
Had to, yeah.
And he just ran away?
Ran away. I felt horrible and scared because I knew he was still on the run and they didn't believe me. So no one was going to look for him and he was just going to look for me. Definitely now to kill me because of what I knew.
Three young women violently murdered in 2016. The killer talked to police from 2 different cities, but fooled them each time. Find out how the sister and friends of his final victim stepped up and brought him down in To Catfish a Killer, Part 2 of our special report on New Jersey serial killer Khalil Wheeler-Weaver.
Man, that is absolutely terrifying. Okay. That is so terrifying. And to watch the police footage, right? The police cam footage where they're asking her those questions, the way they're asking her the questions, right? You could tell they didn't believe her. They weren't taking her serious. This woman has just been raped. Okay, beaten, tortured. Like, it's heartbreaking. It is so heartbreaking. Now, let me show you these 3 women, okay, that he has now been convicted of killing. Sarah Butler, age 20. right there in the white sweater. Joanne Brown, age 33, right there in the middle. And Robin West, age 19. Their bodies were found in 2 different abandoned homes in Essex County, New Jersey. And the thing is, a spree like that, somebody's literally, you've killed 3 women. Okay, now we know 4 for sure. He's been charged again with the murder of a 16-year-old. What happened before that ramp up of the spree? He's never going to admit to all the murders he committed. He's never going to admit. Now, most of his victims had been sex workers. They either struggled with homelessness or had grappled with mental illness throughout their lives. And during a cross-examination, Wheeler-Weaver's lawyer, Deidre McMahon, pointed out inconsistencies in Tiffany Taylor's statement to Elizabeth police, trying to attack her credibility, doing what a defense lawyer is expected to do. And we're talking very minor differences that she kept hammering on. Even hammering on the seconds it took for her attacker's ski mask to come off. Tiffany felt like police just wanted to pin her as a prostitute and was not taking her seriously. But you can see, he showed up. He showed up to this date with her, whatever you want to call it, with the ski mask on and the gloves on, claiming, I'm cold. That was his excuse. But Tiffany has said, I'm well over 100% sure he's the one that raped me and strangled me. The act was not consensual. She attempted to fight back. And it really doesn't matter if she had done sex work in her life. That doesn't give anybody the right to strangle her and kill her and try to kill her, okay? If you're going to look at her as some kind of bad soul or bad person for, having sex for money, then you're going to have to look at him too, right? God takes 2 to tango. Now, again, she met him through a friend of hers. And she had actually met with him once before. She knew him. Now, the time before that she met him, she had collected about $200 from him. She told him she was going to go collect something in her car, and she took off. She left without even having sex with him. They then later met up. Now, November 15th, 2016 was the night that he tried to kill her. Keep in mind, he had already killed these 3 women that same year. The entire summer of 2016, he was on a killing spree. And the way that these men are meeting these women are on these dating apps. Used to be Craigslist, right? Used to be the big thing. Then it was Backpage. Now it's Tinder and other apps. Now everybody's got a dating app now. You can't trust anybody you meet on those sorts of things. You can't trust anybody you meet on those sorts of apps. Even if you talk to them for a period of time trying to fill them out. As a woman, you should never meet some strange man you met on a dating app by yourself, especially the first time. People are going to do what they're going to do, right? Just try to just try to, put yourself or put in your mind that, man, life can be cut so short, so quick. Now, apparently he remembered her from taking that $200 after the attack. He actually took off his mask and asked her, "Do I look familiar? You took my money." Now, again, she had convinced him to drive her back to the motel by offering him money because she had left her cell phone there. I don't think the money was what he cared about. I think the fact that she had left her cell phone and it had evidence on it. The text messages they had exchanged. He was doing everything that he could to avoid being caught. He took steps to avoid getting caught. Now, I'm really glad that she survived this. Now, let me tell you about the new charge. Now, just one second here. I really, really want to show you a photo of this young lady. Give me just a second, let it load here. Hold that thought. Yeah. Mawa Doumbia. Show you a photo of her. 15 years old. 15. Okay, 15. Now, as we know, Khalil was convicted of the 3 murders, right? But then later linked, just recently, we're talking the last few days, was linked to the murder of Mawa Doumbia. She was last seen leaving her home in Newark by her father and her sister back on October 7th, 2016. Now, Mawa was later reported missing, but was not found. 3 years later, okay, on May 9th, 2019, a decomposing body was found in an old carriage house in Orange on Main Street. Medical examiner was able to determine a cause of death as strangulation. Mawa remained unidentified until November of 2019. So she was murdered October 7th, 2016, body found May 9th, 2019. She remained unidentified and her identity was finally determined in November of 2019. Prosecutors, during their investigation, found extensive digital evidence that Khalil Wheeler-Weaver had met Doumbia online on October 7th and solicited her to meet him in person to have sex. He is accused of going to her home and then the carriage house where her body was found, where he strangled her and left her body. Now, in October 2021, just a month, November 2021 is when her identity was reported. just a month before her identity or before she was identified, her body, Khalil Wheeler got 160 years in prison for the murder of the other 3 women, okay, over an 88-day period. I suspect there's more than that. You know, that these serial killers, they start somewhere, right? We're talking social media sites like Tagged, Tinder apps. Now, Sarah Butler, the 20-year-old that he murdered, she met him through a social media site called Tagged. She met him in her parents' minivan the night she disappeared. And before they met up, she actually texted him a message that said, quote, "You're not a serial killer, right?" End quote. Her body was later found in the Eagle Rock Reservation in West Orange, hidden behind a pile of sticks and leaves. Now, Robin West, the 19-year-old from Philly, and Joanne Brown, the 33-year-old from Newark, that were killed by Khalil Wheeler-Weaver. Robin, she actually disappeared back in August 2016 and was found a month later in an abandoned building in Orange that had actually been set ablaze. Joanne Brown, the 33-year-old, was found strangled in December 2016 at a vacant home, right? Authorities have said that Khalil Wheeler-Weaver arranged encounters for sex with the 4 women, attacked them, wrapped the victims' faces in tape, strangling them with articles of clothing. He targeted prostitutes or women dabbling in the sex trade, choosing victims he thought would go unmissed. Now, Butler's family was integral to Wheeler-Weaver's fall. They discovered his profile while going through Butler's social media accounts after her disappearance. Her sister and friend catfished him and arranged for Khalil Wheeler-Weaver to meet at a Panera Bread restaurant in Glen Ridge. Instead of a woman, he found the Montclair police. That's how they got him. They had to lay out a sting. It was thanks to that victim's sister laying the trap. Now, prosecutors have said they cannot rule out that there are other possible victims and that authorities are still looking into open cases with similar patterns. Hey, Jager, how you doing? Yeah. 15 years old. Horrifying. Horrifying. But we'll definitely keep track on this story, everybody. Again, this also brings to mind, I know for me, the Gilgo Beach serial killings that are still unsolved. And of course, you know, you see stuff like this and you wonder, you know, because we know that some of the victims that were found in Gilgo Beach also met their killer on social media. But those murders go back 20 years. And going back 20 years means that Khalil would have only been 5, okay, when the murder started. And obviously, that's not going to, he's not going to be able to fit in that box. The scary thing is that there's that many serial killers out here. That's the scary thing. And they're still walking around free. Terrifying. But we'll definitely keep our eyes on this story, guys. Thanks to everybody who came through, guys. Until next time.